IPMNation.com.
All natural being. Warning, all natural being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Welcome to All Natural Being. The announcer says I'm Brian. I want to thank you for stopping by, clicking over, downloading, however you're getting here. I want to thank you for hanging out on the number 3 months now. 3 months. The number 1 rated show on IPMNation.com. So thank you very much for that. Also over at iTunes as well. Well, thank you everybody for the text. I'm fired up to be back here, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. The last couple of days have been a little bit of a challenge, right? I have a ritual of a thing I do, and as you know, I think it was last Friday, right after the show, I lost my computer. I have an Apple MacBook Pro that everything is hooked into, and I have iPads and my notes and everything that I do to do All Natural Being. Well, Friday after the show, I'm busy doing something, and the computer goes down. And if you've been following along, I took it to Apple. Apple said, yeah, it's toast. We got to send it. It needs a day at the spa. Yeah, my laptop I need a sabbatical. You work me too hard. I need a break. So I had to box it up and send it to Club Apple. Well, so then we start preparing. We're like, okay, great. Well, it's like a combination of iPads and iPhones and getting the signal up and doing this and doing that. But I'm committed, or quite possibly should be, but that's a different show. But I'm committed to making sure that if you give me an hour of your day, that the very least I can do is make sure that we get an hour a day. Because it's important to me, personally important to me, to be involved in the renaissance of you. I said yesterday of the ability to put a placard on your forehead. Maybe I get like a temporary tattoo that says, under new management. It's important to me to be involved in that process, that when you look in the mirror, you see yourself differently than you ever have before. So yesterday, right after the show, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this, and we'll try this way. Thank you very much, Kelly, for the text. I'm excited for today's show as well. Thank you very much, my good friend. So yesterday morning, I think around 11 o'clock, I'm like, all right, let's get this done. A few Post-it notes through 3x5 cards, figuring all this out. The doorbell rings. And I don't know what I was doing at the time, but and I go, oh. It was very nice. I got a box that someone sent. It looked like someone sent me like one of those cheese things. You get a cheese and nuts and some crackers from some other country. It looks, oddly enough, it looked like a laptop box. But I'm busy in my day. I'm running around carrying lots. I go, oh, I wonder who sent me a cheese platter, or whatever it was, or maybe like some shirts. I'm thinking I didn't order any shirts. So I come into the table, I sit down, I open it up, and it's my laptop. You got to dig Apple. They sent it out Monday morning, and I got it back Wednesday morning with a nice little sheet saying, we did some shiatsu, we did some reiki, we, some some other things while your laptop was with us at Club Apple at the spa, and now it feels fully rejuvenated. It's ready to go. It's ready to get back into the flow. So not that anyone from Apple, although they could be, is probably listening, but I know that the manager of Apple down in Naperville is a guy named Chris. So let me just thank Chris and his staff and everyone that worked on the little respite for my MacBook Pro and getting it back to me so quickly. because it really was nice to plug in some of the other cables and go, all right, it took me 3 months to learn how to do it this way. So I'm very happy to have it back and to be looking forward to doing the show this morning, at least to the degree that I have everything right here and I can pull this off without, like, remember when I was a little kid, I used to have to sit next to the television. You'd have a piece of tinfoil on the antenna. You get ready for the knob to adjust those vertical bars that would roll up and down. So that's what the show was like without a laptop. I'm standing on one foot over in the corner, making sure the iPhone has a signal. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So it's really great to have the computer back. And I will tell you, you got to love Apple, though. I get it back, and the new homepage on my computer has been changed to be Apple itself. But well worth it. It's nice to have that kind of customer service and just have a company do what it says it's going to do. So thank you very much to Apple and all the good folks there that helped me get somewhat back in the groove. Although arguably, if you've been listening, say, Brad, you haven't been in the groove since you started this thing. So that's that. All right. So today, let's do this first. I want to show, because one of the first articles I saw, and I think this will set kind of like the tempo of the entire show. Now, you know me, I'm never in the mood, right? I don't have time to be mean to people, don't have that much energy. I don't like throwing people under the bus. If I did, I'd be making comments about firewalkers getting burned and and believing the concept of the secret. Why get burned there either? So I don't normally have time to comment. But one of the things that I got in the past focus group was, did you ever think about talking about some current events? Current events would be good. You know, kind of like leftover from my days in law enforcement, proof of life. At least you know that I'm doing these shows. Right? They're not, they're just contemporaneous to what's going on, if nothing else, at least in my mind. So I came across this article in the Daily Caller. Actually, I think I got a link sent to me from Daily Caller. And it's by a guy named Michael Bastish. I hope I'm saying that right. But the headline is that Buddhists fear wind turbines will ruin their meditation. So the article goes on to say that, quote, Chinese Buddhists are trying to build a pilgrimage site for others of their faith, and they're worried that the eyesore and the noise from nearby wind turbines will distract them from their meditation. Quote, this is from Diane Chen, the project manager from the 4 sacred Buddhist mountains of China, told the reporter, quote, we're a major development, not a Mickey Mouse project, and it is disappointing for us that our projects, the 4 sacred sites, would be in jeopardy. She goes on to say, quote, sight of the turbines and noise they make will distract them and ruin their meditation, especially when they are walking from one site to another. Now, in fairness, it is an $80 million project to recreate these 4 Chinese Buddhist sites in the Canadian province of Ontario. And they're hoping to make it a huge pilgrimage for North American Buddhists. Apparently there's 360,000 Buddhists, I guess, in Canada, or the like. So this would be a big deal. But now a wind power company, wants to build 2 wind farms, sparking a legal battle between Buddhists and local farmers against wind developers. Canadian regulators sided with the wind companies in 2 of the cases, according to the article. And they said, don't worry about it, it's not going to be all that bad. But here's, right? So they did the test, and they're saying that even after the test, that's not good enough for the people in the Buddhist community. And here's what grabbed me. The very last sentence is a quote from Chen herself. We have voiced our concern, and we have to leave it in the hands of the Buddha. Now, here's the only reason I bring this article up, because I think, although some people may not get it, I think the Buddha would have. If you have a sense of meditation that's interrupted by the noise or the sight of a wind turbine, you don't have yourself meditation. And I think as soon as I read this article, I go, oh, we're going to leave it in the hands of the Buddha. The Buddha's going to be like, hey, stop calling me. I got the universe. I'm a little tied up right now. You're bugging me about wind turbines? And it made me think. You look at Jesus in the desert. You look at Buddha sitting under the tree. Satan or Mara. The distractions, the temptations. They seem to be able to pull it off okay. Jesus didn't seem, in his 3 temptations, to be derailed by Satan. Buddha didn't seem to be derailed by Mara and all the distractions, all the temptations, all the plays to their ego. So this article made me think of 2 things. One, our meditation practice, it has to go down in the thickened things, right? The rough and tumble of the here and now. Because if our meditation only takes place in complete silence, blocked from everything going on around us, what do you have? Doesn't say that Buddha was a scuba diver, didn't come to enlightenment by sinking down into the ocean and blocking everything going on around him. All hell was breaking loose. Most certainly with Jesus in the wilderness, all hell was breaking loose. But what'd they do? They stayed centered. They stayed grounded. They didn't let the wind turbines of their day, right? Oh, it'll be noisy and it'll be an eyesore. Well, so was Mara for the Buddha. Pretty sure Jesus wasn't necessarily a fan of having to spend 40 days and 40 nights running around waiting for Satan to show up. So if our meditation is something that can be distracted by an outside sound or noise, let me just ask you, then why all these apps? Why all these apps promising you that meditation, what's meditation going to yield you? Oh, well, it'll help reduce stress in your life. You'll have focus. You'll have calm. You'll have all these other things. So now you can buy 150 apps or more, I suspect by now, where if you plug in your headphones and you listen to all these beats or these sounds. My favorite one is there's an app that just has white noise or brown noise to help you focus, but I guess a spinning wind turbine wouldn't be that same brown noise, white noise, whatever it might be. So we have all these things that, one, all the promises of meditation. Okay? So, well, if you do meditation, it'll yield you all these other things. So we treat it as a means to an end. Right? It's a cure. Meditation is a cure, they would have you believe. And the real problem that I have with some of these apps and some of these other external things that you can do, what happens if you run out of power? Suppose you don't have wind turbines generating power. You don't have a solar generator generating power, and the power goes out. Your phone eventually runs down. What are you going to do? Can't meditate? Can't focus? Can't go within because your iPhone's down? That's really what we're going to rely on? So it's a flip side of the same coin. Don't rely on outside sources to help you with your meditation. And don't be distracted by outside sources to help you with your meditation. And most certainly, we don't want to use meditation as a means to an end. Because ultimately all meditation is an invitation for you to be you. You at square one, right? Meditation, contemplative prayer, whatever you want to call it. It's an invitation for you to get back to your basics, you to get back to your primal, you to get back to the you that was you before society got a hold of you. As Buckminster Fuller, the inventor, said, everyone is a born genius, society degeniuses them. So all meditation is the opportunity for you to get back to who you really are, the all-natural you, all-natural being. So if you're taking up meditation because it's going to get you yet another carrot at the end of another stick, why bother? If you use meditation to return to who you already are, then I think it's a great thing to do. But if we treat it as some other prescription to achieve something we don't think we currently have, then maybe take up bocce. maybe, right? Maybe take up something else. All meditation is the gateway for you to be who you've been since the day you were dropped here. If we use meditation as a springboard to some future event, we're missing the point. Meditation, it's going to make you sharper at work. Well, let's do this. Let's leave it up to the hands of the Buddha. It's in the hands of the Buddha now, as the Canadian Buddhists are saying. Well, Buddha knows that you're you, regardless of what you achieve at work. In terms of the contemplative prayer, Jesus goes, I don't need all this mashugana, Satan. I know what's going on. They didn't use it for a means to an end. Meditation was a mirror. Meditation was that ability to catch your reflection and go, yep, that's me. Nah, this is superfluous. This is baggage. This is the mashugana. It's not the real me. This is the plaque. This is the spackle. This is the facade, everything that I built up around me. So before we get to the anaerobic aphorism, let's just maybe contemplate for a little bit today that meditation isn't something to get you something else. It's not yet another thing that you can use to entrench your sense of being a human getting. Meditation really at its core is, well, just that. It returns you to your core, where the myriad benefits already exist. You're not minus something. You're not wanting something. It already sits at your core. And if you're going to meditate and there's a little bit of distraction outside, whether it's distraction that you bought because you got an app for your phone to help you stay centered and focused, or that distraction is outside, you go, I can't sit and contemplate. You've heard me say before. Well, I've been in a cave on Wudong Mountain in China. Pretty peaceful. Some bees were buzzing around, but pretty peaceful. Hung out with the monk that lived there. He seemed like a pretty grounded guy. But I've also been at the elevated, the L tracks in downtown Chicago at a rush hour on a Friday afternoon. Bajillion people running around. And the ability to reconnect with your core has to happen in both places. If we're having to look for a place that's absolutely peaceful and quiet, not that there isn't room for that in our lives, it's a nice little break, but we don't need it to meditate. And with all due respect to my Buddhist friends in Canada, if a wind turbine's going to throw you off your game, then you got to get a different game. You haven't brought your A game. That's most certainly for sure. All right, so there you are, my attempt yet once again to comment. It went so well with I almost said Justin Bieber. What's that guy's name? Justin Timberlake. It went so well with my Justin Timberlake riff the other day. I still, regardless of all the people upset about it, I applaud his effort to find the commonality in human beings and not so much be worried about the color of your skin. It's absolutely ridiculous. All right, so here we go. This morning, a little plug for my sense of all-natural being. Little plug of carrots are great, but you should throw them in your juicer. Don't put them at the end of a stick. The anaerobic aphorism that goes up the day before, as you know, to highlight today's show. Anaerobic aphorism on Facebook. Happiness truly begins when we trade our compass for a magnifying glass. And to be honest, that's really the story of what I do. Because I know, I've proven in over 30 years now that your brain gets a boost when you magnify the moment. When you tap into the truly unimaginable power that is the now of living in this moment. Speaking of living in the moment, don't forget you can reach me at 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. You can hit me up on Facebook, Brian Brawdy Official. You can hit me at Twitter at Brian Brawdy. And, of course, allnaturalbeing.com, a.k.a. brianbrawdy.com. Send me an email. I'll send you an email back. We can hook up that way. I'm so excited about what we've got coming in the month of July. A bunch of different things, including, I'm thinking, and I'd love your all's help with this. We're talking about the anaerobic aphorism now before we get to the 4 segments of today's show. We're kicking around this idea that from now on, well, maybe not from now on, here in a week or so, once we get into July, I got a big 4th of July coming up. Someone very near and dear to me is celebrating her birthday on the 4th of July. So I'm looking forward to the weekend and hanging out with her. And she's pretty fired up, to say the least. So right after the 4th of July, what I was thinking we would do, and I would love your feedback, is instead of, or maybe in addition to, but my sense is instead of posting our little placards that we do for our anaerobic aphorisms, I'm going to start doing live Facebook video. So when I would normally post the placard, we'll do a live little, maybe a 1 minute, just kind of riff through, get everybody focused on what's going to go on in the next episode of All Natural Being. So I'll do it from right here in the studio, or maybe I'll do it out and about, running around. Never can tell. But instead of just putting the placards up on Facebook and sending them over for Twitter, I thought we would take advantage of Facebook now and doing live video, and we would do some live video feeds. Is that what you call it? A live video feed, letting you know what tomorrow morning's show would be. So if you think that would be a benefit, little of a audio-video anaerobic aphorism, let me know. Send me a tweet, send me a text. Let me know what you're thinking, and it's my sense that we'll go ahead and incorporate those shortly after the 4th of July. All right, let's get to today's show. We got 4 different segments. Segment number 1, Energize This. I want to talk about soft and calm. I want to talk about renewable energy plan, what your personal renewable energy plan is. Has nothing to do with wind turbines, I promise. And really focus again on why our brains get a boost when we magnify the moment. Why? That's the all-natural function of the brain. Right? Not the memories of the past, the fairy tales of the future. Right now. Segment number 2, we're going to look at sleep your way to success. Sleep your way to success? No, again, not what some of you are thinking about. I didn't even think of it until I just said it to myself there again. But why sleep is so important to your body. We all get that, right? We got to get a good 6, a good 8 maybe, depending upon your physiology. But that how important it is to the brain and therefore the human mind to make sure you're getting enough shut-eye. And in combination with that, why 20-minute victories are so important throughout the day. Because even though you're not necessarily sleeping, I hope you're not sleeping through them, it's still a way of rejuvenating who you are. All right, segment number 3. This one I'm really excited about. I'm calling it the golden mean, or as the oracle at Delphi may have said, or it was inscribed there in the marble, nothing in excess. So we're going to talk about carrots and current. We're going to find your sweet spot, the dynamic energy of in the moment. We're going to talk about carrots at the end of the stick and your current consciousness as it's constructed right now in this moment. And why nothing in excess? Maybe the oracle was right. Maybe the golden mean is the way to go. So if we're not going to abandon our goal-setting strategies altogether, then we simply go, okay, great. How can I sprinkle in my 20-minute victories so that I can get the best of both worlds? Nothing in excess, the golden mean. We'll talk about that in segment 3. And then segment 4, this one I'm getting a lot of comments on. It's my thought of the last couple of days, that at least I've mentioned the last couple of days, about how consciousness is like a DJ. So we're calling segment number 4, the limbic system and the DJ, or my new campaign, Please Think Responsibly. All right, so those are going to be our 4 segments today. Anaerobic aphorism, happiness truly begins when we trade our compass. Stop looking for the horizons. Trade it in for a magnifying glass. Figure out what's in your headspace right now, where you are in this moment. No sirens call. That's what we're going to focus on today here on All Natural Being. We'll be right back.
IPMNation.com.
All right, IPMNation.com, independent, provocative, mobile, just like our minds should be. Want to be able to think on our own feet. We want to be provocative. We want to provoke ourselves. That's what the mind is here for. The mind is here to be provoked. If all it was rote memory of certain facts, of certain things, then we could get into a rut. That would be one way of doing it. But that's not the way. That's not your all-natural being. Your mind is here to be provoked. And most certainly to be mobile, be flexible, have the courage, have the grit to take whatever the moment throws at you. That's why I dig about IPM Nation. Not to mention all the fact they give me, all the help they give me in trying to make this show better each and every day. So thanks to Matt and Jen at IPM Nation for everything they do to, oh golly, work this rough into a diamond, I guess. All right, well, let's look at segment number 1. Now, a lot of the debate when we hear all the time when people say, well, I need to be optimistic. I need to have a higher consciousness. I need to operate at a more energetic level. As opposed to being a pessimist, I guess, and operating at a lower consciousness or a lower level. I want to talk about renewable energy plan, your renewable energy plan. Because the benefit of magnifying the moment, not being overly excited, the good or the bad, not being optimistic or pessimistic, not having any skin in the game outside of this particular moment, is that energy is energy. And countless studies now are showing us whether we're energized because we're in a super great mood or energized by more negative emotions, it's still energy. And as you know, I believe that when you operate outside of this moment, it's like disconnecting a battery that's charged. You're plugged into the wall, the battery's charging. You disconnect from outside this moment, and eventually that battery runs down. So what are you doing? You're looking for someplace else to plug in and charge up because the battery's starting to go down. So it's all about energy. So if we have a preconceived notion of what this moment is going to bring and then it doesn't bring it, that's the definition of stress. Stress is nothing more than the moment not working out the way you wanted it to. Let's take all the mumbo jumbo and break it down. Stress comes when it's not what you thought it was going to be. So one way to save your energy, don't be super energetic, don't be super pessimistic, optimistic, either way. One way to do that is to go into the moment with no preconceived notions, no biases. To go in soft, supple, ready to take whatever the moment has. Ready to take whatever fingerprints of providence pops up and work with that in the moment. And when you do that, when you stay connected to that energy, that's how your brain gets the boost. Your brain is a detective. Your mind is a detective. It's a criminal investigator. And it's constantly wanting to figure out what's going on. That's the wonder, W-O-N-D-E-R, and the wander, W-A-N-D-E-R, lust. Your brain digs, your mind digs the wanderlust. It wants to find out what's new, what's the nuance, what's the novelty, what's the next thing in the queue. But when we make plans, and then the universe decides that's not what's coming in this particular moment, it causes a stress, and stress causes us to spend energy. So, for your 20-minute victory today, and again, although I love my line, the only thing carrots are good for is to make juice with them. If I had a juicer, I'd be dropping carrots in right now to make a drink. Excuse me. Speaking of drinks. But for your 20-minute victory today, what if you said, okay, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be soft and calm. Just like in meditation. You're sitting there and you go, oh, that thought popped up. No, it just popped up. Let it go away. You're the DJ. Sweep it off. Wipe it away. You ever cut the grass? If you have a yard? Oh, ever sweep your kitchen floor? Sweep any floor. The office floor. Just because you swept it Monday doesn't mean that 3 weeks from now doesn't need to be swept again. Same with the ideas that pop up in your mind. Just simply sweep them away. But we don't have to invest energy in going, oh, that damn thought popped up again. No. Isn't it? It isn't A or B. It just is. So when we remain soft and calm isn't going to get a lot of positive press in this day and age. I'm suggesting that when you bring your own boldness can be soft and calm. Boldness can be supple. And I don't want to go all martial arts on you. But some of the biggest badasses I've ever met were so smooth and so soft and so supple until that moment they needed to bring their bold. And then there was no gray area. You knew right then that they were going to use their energy in the moment in a directed and focused way. So they had a tank full of energy. But if you and I spend our day running around going, oh, I didn't want this to happen, I didn't want that to happen, or, I'm very excited that this happened, we're just paying out energy. It's like taking $20 bills and flipping them out on the counter. But what say you and I decide that for 20 minutes, we're going to work on our renewable energy plan. And renewable energy is paying attention to our breath. Breathe in, exhale, scan our horizon. Then we take action. Then we think. Then we talk. Because then we're adding to our energy with our breath. Now, when we talk about the best acronym, the ego shield, right, that we want to build a little bit of temporal terrain so that outside things don't grab us right away. We're talking about a breath that we've talked before, maybe it takes 10 seconds to draw in that full breath, but a breath where you think, there's no more room in my lungs for air. Now, you don't have to there's not an outward display of this. You can draw it in through your nose. It's full. There's like 2 lungs. Like you couldn't take one more little bit of air in. And then when you exhale, initiate the exhale with your navel, with your gut. And just pull in towards your spine. Imagine that there's a little bungee cord, the small of your back, and that bungee cord is attached to your navel. You're pulling that deep air in. As soon as it's time to let go, the bungee goes, all right, I'm in charge now. And it pulls your navel as close as it can get to your spine. So now we're getting rid of all of the oxygen, everything that's left in your lungs. We're using your diaphragm the way nature intended. You're pushing all that air out. And if you do it right, you're going to find that it wants to pop back open again. So on your next inhale, you're like... And it takes practice. Your lungs need practice doing this. Maybe it's been a few days, weeks, months, years, decades since you've put your lungs through their natural paces. Then, with the benefit of drawing that energy in and then exhaling, then you scan the horizon right under your nose, right in front of your face, your periphery, your head space, your probability space, your promised land, right in this moment. And then you think, you talk, you take action. If you're going to tap that energy, you do it with calm focus. We're not busy running around going, oh, that wasn't what I had planned. Now what? It's all energy. Anytime emotion kicks in, it's energy. But if we sit back in the position of the Tao follows its own path, it is what it is, thy will be done, whatever you're comfortable with, then we save that energy. I said opening up when I was going to talk about Justin Timberlake. I was going to talk about people on fire walking and Buddhists and wind turbines in Canada. I don't have enough energy to hate anybody. Any positive emotion requires energy. And in our 20-minute victory, why give up energy we don't have to? Did you go away on vacation and leave your air conditioning on, leave your lights on, leave the TV playing? No. I would imagine somewhat you want to conserve your energy. Same when it comes with your mind. All natural being, it doesn't need a ton of emotion either way, good or bad. It just is. The Tao follows its own path. All right, let's take a quick break.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. How much longer will you let them hijack your head and your heart?
All right, so let's do this. We're going to go ahead and jump to segment number 3 because I'm looking at the time and want to make sure that we get this one in. With segment 3, we're talking about the golden mean, or as they said at Oracle at Delphi, nothing in excess, which I reframe to be carrots or the current. Current meaning both the power running through you and current as in this particular moment and all the time. So what we want to do with the golden mean is that we're not going to say, okay, we're absolutely done with carrots at the end of the stick. We're going to embrace all the current. And we don't want to say, oh, the hell with Brian, this is all crazy talk. Let's just stick with our goal-driven madness. So how about you and I work today to identify, thanks to nothing in excess from the Delphi. Remember, know thyself. We identify our own golden mean. We find our own sweet spot. We know that living in the moment is dynamic. Anything can unfold, and we're saving the energy, based on what we talked about in segment 1. We're saving the energy. Not by using a compass where we have a plan to get from A to B. We're saving our energy by using a magnifying glass. We're paying attention right now, in this moment, to what's unfolding. We're just engaging it. We're not embracing it. We're not asking it out on a date. We're not going to go take in a drive-up movie. We're just engaging it. So how about your sweet spot? Here's the way we find it. People go, Brian, how my sweet spot? I want to find my sweet spot. How do I know? Well, we're going to work on a plan that'll build it together. I say you start with one 20-minute victory, 1 72nd of your day. Have all your goals, everything you got to do. Drain all the energy you want that way. But how about if we said, okay, well, for every little bit I'm going to drain energy with my bucket list and my to-do lists and the like, and then I don't want to say obsess, I don't want to say focus, hyper-focus, we're on overdrive, we have to achieve all these things. Let's suppose we counterbalance it, with a 20-minute victory to renew some of that energy. And to have you, that's why I say that 20-minute victories are not only scalable, you can personally design your own golden mean. You might say, I like to do a 20-minute victory once a day. Or I'm going to focus on the moment at hand. I know, after doing this for 3 decades, I can tell you, like me, you're going to get a little greedy. What's going to happen is you'll do one 20-minute victory and you go, whoa, that was fantastic. What am I going to do now? They're scalable. You might come back after starting this program and go, I'd like a 20-minute victory every 8 hours. Great, they're scalable. Build them as you see fit. Personalize your sweet spot. Figure out how you're going to handle the dynamic energy of the moment. Not saying take off to a cave, the mountains in China. Not saying throw away all your carrots at the end of the stick. Let's just identify your sweet spot. If we look at it as a recipe and we want to rejuvenate ourselves, we want to take a break, a respite from the storm, a port from the storm, that is constantly having somewhere else to be. Then we find our sweet spot by using the 20-minute victories, stacking them, scaling them, whatever term you're comfortable with. But you find your own recipe, your own ingredient list. You might go, I like going every 4 hours. Do a 20-minute victory. Now, there's a couple different ways you can talk about 20-minute victories, as we do all the time. They can be scheduled, or they can be spur of the moment. They can be intended. You can say, okay, at noon today I'm going to do one. Or they can be impromptu. Maybe you're out for a walk. Maybe you're doing something. You hear a song. You see a title. I'm going to go ahead and let you know one of the things I do. Sometimes if I get stuck, I head on over to the local bookstore, the magazine store. And I look at some of the titles of the magazines. I look at some of the labels. If I go to a grocery store, I look at some of the labels on the food. One of my favorites is you're kind of like, okay. We told you Brian should be committed. I like to go to the fruit and vegetable aisle. Because for me, there's nothing more stimulating, fascinating, than when you look at some of the fruits and vegetables. You contemplate their all-natural being, the way nature constructed them. Look at an ear of corn. Shuck an ear of corn sometime. Look at an avocado. Asparagus. Which I chuckle when I say asparagus because it makes me think of the Seinfeld. And Newman would go, vile weed. But just look at some of the symmetry. The golden mean built into nature. Strawberries absolutely found their sweet spot. Different fruits and vegetables absolutely know the golden mean. But for you and I mentally, we can say, great, I'll take a 20-minute victory at a bookstore, a grocery store. I'll take a 20-minute victory out in the middle of nowhere. I'll take a 20-minute victory on the bus, heading to work, the middle of traffic. I can still focus on being present. You know, for years, I used to go out for a bike and a run, and I would have my, first they were Walkmans. Remember, you put the cassette tape in the player, and you'd duct tape it to your upper arm so you'd have your music all the time. And then they came out with the little Apple things. I forget what they were called now. You just plug them in. They were like on a USB drive. You'd plug them in, and you could go and run with them. And then they come out with iPhones. iPods, I think is what they're called, iPods. And then they come out with iPhones, and you can run with them. But it wasn't until I decided that if I was going to go for a hike, I was going to go for a bike ride, I was going to go for a run, then I was going to go for a hike, a bike ride, or a run. I stopped taking music. Now, the portion of the country I live in, probably a pretty good idea. Right? You don't want to be listening to music and get hit by a truck. You're not paying attention to what's going on around you. And I promise you that my hikes, my walks in nature, my bike rides, my runs were more meaningful to me because I wasn't called outside of the moment. I wasn't distracted. I found that golden mean. And it meant a lot more to me. So as you look to construct your day and you look at 20-minute victories, even starting with 20-second victories of breathing in, exhale, scan the horizon, tap your energy, think, talk, take action, however you're going to do it, we can build your sweet spot. And the nice thing about it is you might have a different sweet spot now than you will when you're 50 or 75 or 80. So to be truly dynamic is dynamic in the moment, but it's also to have a dynamic plan. And we can identify your sweet spot by saying, great, do one 20-minute victory today. Let's see what we can do. Maybe later this afternoon. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe you just sit out and go, I'm not going to have a scheduled one today. They're all going to be spur of the moment. I'm not going to intend a single one. They'll be impromptu. I'll go check out some of the produce like Brian does. I'll go check out some of the animals, some of the critters running around. But that way, you get to personalize it. You get to decide, is Brian crazy? Abandoning goals, abandoning bucket lists. What kind of nut job? Thank you very much. Keep the hate mail coming. Right? You get to decide. And just test it out. Am I telling you the truth? Does your brain get a boost when you magnify the moment? Will you truly be happier with a magnifying glass than a compass? I think you're going to be. But I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt and say, invest 1/72nd of your day. Come on, 20 minutes. See if I'm not telling you the truth. I think you're going to find out why I'm a huge fan of yours. Because I think when you use the magnifying glass, ignoring all the people go, you don't got time for a magnifying glass. Get your compass out. We got to get down the road as the crow flies. A to B. Chop, chop, fizz, fizz. But when you bring a magnifying glass to the labyrinth, all the constructions and the destruction, all the lefts, the rights, the ups, the downs, the pivots, the swerves, shift happens in the labyrinth. When you bring the magnifying glass to the labyrinth, I think the universe tells you exactly what your next step is going to be. And the more you do that, you'll find your sweet spot. How many times do we say all natural being isn't for anyone? It takes a rare breed to use your mind the way nature intended, the way God intended, however you define the divine. So if that's true, how about we build it so you find your own sweet spot? What would be wrong with that? So we can look at the golden mean in philosophy and go, I can apply that in my daily life right now. Chinese philosophy, it's called the doctrine of the mean. Confucius was a big fan. Going back to Buddhists, our friends in Canada, it was called the middle way. Why can't you and I have that? Instead of nothing in excess. We're going to avoid the extremes until we decide what's best for us. 20-minute victory. You can start to build your own golden mean. Very scientific, I know, right? Yes. You'll be able to do it your own way. But for 20 minutes, be your own best friend. Be your own biggest fan. Get off your own back. Only call forth that energy when you really need it. And if we go into the moment soft, if we go into the moment calm, then there's no reason to expend that energy because it didn't either A, turn out the way we wanted, or B, turned out the way we didn't want. It just turned out. It just unfolded. And it takes a rare breed to be courageous enough to go, I'm in. I'll let that happen. I think of a football player. I think of a tennis player. Tennis player can't tell where the shot's going to go until she receives the shot. Football player, running a kickoff back. Got to wait and see what the defense does. You can't just put your head down and run. Well, I got to score a touchdown. My goal is to get there, so I'm going to run straight up the middle of the field. No. You read the defense. You read what nature is throwing at you. That's the dynamic aspect of the moment. You do that. You identify your own golden mean. Then you'll know. You'll have a ritual. And I want to talk tomorrow about rituals. We'll have a chance to talk about, because people say, oh, that's a habit. And it's a little different. So we'll talk about rituals tomorrow on All Natural Being. But you will have crafted your own. All right, let's take a quick break, and then I want to get to segment number 4. We're running out of time, but why sleep so important. Stand by.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Because it's never too late to take your life back.
Never too late to take your life back. Never too late to get a good night's sleep. That's a big deal. And so we want to talk about that in this segment. Article I stumbled across in Forbes. And the title grabbed me. Here's more evidence that brain fatigue makes us do dumb things. David DeSalvio is the contributor. And then I was reading through that article and I go, brain fatigue, what does that? Brain fatigue. Well, we get tired. We blow all of our energy. He says in the article, quote, the brain is an energy hog that uses up 15 to 20% of whatever we're doing. Right? All about the brain. So then I thought, okay, how are we going to be able to rejuvenate what we're doing? If we want to use our mind to its fullest potential, we ought to bring our A game. So I found a study that says sleep deprivation, imposed one way or another, can even cause us to gain weight, cause us to have overuse injuries. decrease in muscle mass. But here's what really grabbed me. As you probably know already, sleep is when the body recovers. And by recovering from the stress of the day, it means that's when the body rebuilds. And according to this article, this guy, John Broussard, a sports medicine director in District of Columbia, quote, it's during the deep stages of sleep that all the tissues of the body repair. But you have to get into all the stages of sleep in their proper sequence to get those restorative benefits. And he goes on to say there's 4 parts of a sleep cycle: near wake, onset of sleep, like when we're drowsy, yes, deep and restorative sleep, and then stage 4, the REM, or the dream state, which occurs about 90 minutes into each cycle. So the key to making sure our minds work fully is to make sure that our brains are being rejuvenated, make sure our bodies are being rejuvenated. Let me ask you, do you get enough sleep throughout the course of the day? According to one particular doctor in a study, said sleep needs to be made a major priority. If you don't sleep, your body is stressed. You crave food, your immune system is compromised. And this is what fascinated me. He said, quote, 6 hours is more realistic in our busy schedules, but on a report card, that would be an equivalent to getting a D, 1 grade below a C. Depending upon where you went to school, what part of the country, 1 grade above an E or an F. So the article goes on to say that according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, about 1/3 of Americans get less than 7 hours of sleep a night. So Broussard, doctor in this article, says, hey, you want to get an A? You want to take that D to an A? He gives you some points. It says make sure you have a bright work environment during the day. I guess we want to make sure that our internal clock knows when it's day and when it's night. Here's one I loved. Try to spend at least an hour outside every day. There's a chance to reconnect to our all-natural being. It says try to create stress-free evenings. It says make sure your bedroom is cool and dark. I dig that one. I don't know if you know this, but also some of the blue screens on TVs just keep your mind in a hyper state of awareness. It says don't keep your phone near your bed. That makes sense. You don't want to be texted all night long unless you use an alarm clock. I happen to take a pen and a notepad, so if something pops up to me, if there's a dream I want to mark down, if there's something else going on, well, I just write it down. So you have to worry, oh, what's going to happen if something comes to me? I got a pen and a tablet. I don't got to get up. I don't have to run around. So maybe the best way that we can guarantee that our brain and therefore our mind is firing on all of its cylinders, a fully dynamic life, is to do what we can to cut down distractions. Maybe a 20-minute victory right before you go to bed is a great way to do it. I know it is for me. Maybe another 20-minute victory would be right when you get out of bed in the morning. Maybe give yourself 70 seconds of your overall day. If you do that, you might be able to help your mind wind down so that you can get a decent night's sleep. Also, if you do one as soon as you get up in the morning, primes your mind for the day that's ahead. Gives you a valuable operating platform that you can spring off from for the rest of the day. And then should you decide to do a 20-minute victory, maybe at lunchtime, maybe wherever it grabs you, we can use that to kind of restore some of the adverse effects of stress that we have throughout the day. Maybe sprinkle in a couple. Again, right? We're building your recipe, your ingredient list. We're figuring out your golden mean. We sprinkle in a couple of 20-second victories. Breathe in, exhale, check your 6, scan your horizon, then tap your energy. Think, talk, take action. If we do it that way, we're getting the best of both worlds. But I promise you, that's the beauty of it. the ability for you to build your own plan. Mix and match if you like. Little of this, little of that. Now, I know that before too long, it's going to be weighted one way where you're going to want more, not less 20-minute victories. You're going to want more of them. But let's just see how it shakes out for you. Let's just see what happens when you reconnect with your all-natural being. Let you be the judge of that old football thing. You make the call. I'm confident enough in your all-natural being that if you make the call, if you build your own plan, you'll return to your inner rock star. Because I believe you are here to steal the show, to wow the crowd and the world, to work the red carpet. And it begins when you reconnect with your all-natural being. Now, I wanted to get in segment 4. Maybe we'll save that for tomorrow. Limbic system and the DJ, because I got a lot of feedback about the concept of your DJ as consciousness. So between now and then, if a thought pops up, like a song on the radio, you don't like it, just change the song. Go get out of here. I'm the DJ. You go over there, sit in the corner. And we'll talk about that at length tomorrow. Oh, and also about rituals. I want to talk a little bit about that. But in the interim, remember that happiness truly begins when we trade our compass for a magnifying glass. When we look at where we are right now, in this moment, we catch ourselves smiling. And even if we're not smiling, we're fully engrossed in what's going on right now. No plans, no strategies, no hopes, no dreams, no to-do lists, no bucket lists. Right now, in this moment, when we remain soft and calm, when we remain open to whatever the universe is going to throw at us, then we tap and channel our energy. We're reconnected to our all-natural being. There's no other way to do it. Stay soft and calm. It's not popular today. Everyone wants to be kicking in doors and sprinting around and, showing you how much energy they're expending. What if you're busy blowing all your energy in the morning and then something pops up in the afternoon where you could really use your energy, but you're too hyped up, good or bad, optimistic or pessimistic, or too like, yes, or too, no. If we do it in the moment, soft, calm, supple, let the moment bring what it brings, then we respond with our energy. You're going to get through the end of the day going, man, I feel great today. And again, please don't take my word for it. Listen to your own heart. 20-minute victory. 1 72nd of your day to remember who you are, to be your biggest fan, to be your own best friend. Magnify the moment, because when you magnify the moment, you absolutely have to magnify who you are in that moment. And I'm absolutely confident in your all-natural being's ability, as you want to be, as you should be confident that your all-natural being, once you give it a shout, it's on its way, because your soul wants off the sideline. And if you've gotten to the point where you're sick and tired of your soul being sidelined, believe me, when you tap it, it's coming to the surface. You wait and see. All right, we're going to get ahead and get out of here. Have a great, fantastic day wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever time you're listening. Don't forget 11 a.m. Eastern Time and also 8 p.m. If you missed this morning, well, then you're not listening to these words anyways, but 11 a.m., 8 p.m., in case there's anything that I've said you want to reconnect with, you can hook up on IPMNation.com. Truly, have a fantastic day. No energy. Take it as it comes. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
All Natural Being. You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
BrawdyNation.com.